Hi everyone, welcome to the latest video. Today I'm going to show you how I made these, my Grecian or Roman style columns. They are from XPS foam, not resin. I've had some resin ones before, but these are the ones I've made, and I've made them with these Hotwire jigs I designed. These jigs are for sale currently, not via me, they're via Rock Minis. There will be a link in the description below if you want to pick these up. They're incredibly cheap. These are the 25mm versions. There is also a hefty 40mm version for all those action figure people out there that want to make scenes for your action figures. Yeah, you can pick them up from Rock Minis. I designed them myself, and Rich from Rock Minis, he cuts them for me, and then I give him the designs and he sells them on his website. He does give me a little kickback, which is quite nice, which is what the affiliate link below is for. He hasn't paid me to advertise these. This is something I wanted to do, and it's also an instructional video for anyone that buys them from Rich. They can come here and look at this and see what you can do with them. These are just ruins, so you can do whatever you need to with these. But yeah, hopefully you enjoy the video. If you do, please give it a thumbs up, leave me a comment, like and subscribe, all the usual stuff. And let's get straight into it. These are the templates that you'll receive from ROK Minis, or Rock Minis as I call it. In my right hand is the 25mm version, here it is, two on the same sprue. The left is obviously the 25mm column piece, and the right is the base, the plinth. I'm just going to put the 40mm one to a side for now. I'm just going to go through it here. This is how you put it together. You take it off the sprue, and I've got a little file here, and I'm just shaving off all of the attachment points. None of them actually interfere with any other part of the jig, so there's no need to do this, but I like to do it for aesthetics. Here I am using my engineering blocks, sticking the plinth part together, making sure everything's square. It will square up anyway. I'm gluing these with super glue because anybody got time for that PVA to set. There we go. And here we go, right, so I'll put them all together. This is the 40mm by 40mm by 40mm block of foam that squeezes nicely into the 40mm jig here. And you run it across your hot wire cutter like any other jig on the market. There are several from Shifting Lands and other people as well. And you just shift it across, and you see it creates a nice texture for you. And once you're done with one side, once we're done here, you pop it out, turn it around, pop it in, and using the handy pinhole already provided in the jig, pop a pin in to stop it moving back and forward, and continue the same on the other side. And once you have that done, you'll have a rather nice 40mm by 40mm by 40mm column piece. And then you can go and cut a few more and stack them up and make a rather large column for your action figures or whatever you need. This would be a pretty cool Emperor's Palace type of column as well, I think. It's pretty much exactly the same for the 25mm version, which is what we're going to do next. I've written 25 by 25 by 25 on it because I'm forgetful, even though I designed them. You'll notice that this one cuts a little bit smoother than the larger one because that was the first time I've used the 40mm one, and as you use them over time, the hot wire gives a nice little sheen to the edges, so it slides better over the wire. If you cut it ever so slightly too big, it does stick a little bit, but that's good. It helps the friction keeping it in the place. There we are, cutting the rest of it here. Sometimes you need to go back and just do a tiny bit more extra. You'll see that on the plinth version. There you go, there's a 25mm column. And here's the plinth. So this is 32mm by 32mm square, which is 12mm thick. That'll slide nicely into the box. Slide it down, and there we go, back in, and we just do that arch piece as well. Pop it out. Do it again, so you need to do all four sides just like that. I have made 6 of these for this, and I've made quite a few of the 25mm column pieces, so you'll see those in a second. There we go, just going back again to get the cutout in the bottom. There we go. pull that out. There we go. Get the 25mm piece on top. There you go. They look really clean at the moment. But what we'll do is I'm just going to practice stacking them up, making sure they're all fine and that they'll look like columns, and thankfully they do. And get a full column there. So you could use these, you could cut them in half as well, so you could use them as facades instead of actual columns on a large building, which would be quite nice. So I'm just getting an idea of how many pieces I've cut here and what columns I can make, etc. So what I'm going to do now is do our usual thing with the bricks, and we're going to put them in a box of rocks. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to also rip a couple of pieces off, just get some really chunky pliers and just rip the stone off, rip the foam off. And what the box of rocks will do is all the jagged pieces there will give it a really nice rounded over texture, so it'll make it look like weathered sandstone, which is what these are going to be painted like anyway. There we go. So this is a nice texture you get. I've just used simple garden rocks, nothing bigger than the actual pieces, but I've got about 12 to 15 rocks in the box. I threw all the pieces in and just shook it for about 45 to 50 seconds and pulled them all out. Now, here we are. I'm just planning out what I want them to look like. So I'm using a piece of Foamex board and I'm drawing around it to get the ruined pieces I want. And I'm gluing the columns together with hot glue. I'm using my 123 block to keep the columns straight next to each other. And there's a long full piece. There we go. And I've also taken some thinner foam and made some 32 by 32mm squares. So, well, I say squares, they're the smaller squares are actually 16 by 16, so I made a few of those and placed them next to the 32 by 32 so it looks coherent. And here you go, I've stuck them all down to the board, cut the board out. You don't need to see that, it's just simple cutting board. And I've mixed up some PVA glue and some dental plaster and some sand. It sets incredibly fast because of the dental plaster, and it becomes almost like a putty. So I've put that on there and let it dry hard, and that's how I, instead of using sculptor mold, which I don't have any of unfortunately, so I've just put that on there for now. It's another cheaper solution for me. And now I'm gonna put some sand over it. So I'm using wood glue here because it dries faster than normal PVA, sprinkling on some rocks I created out of dental plaster and some just standard builder sand which I've sifted for size. I'm now putting my black and Mod Podge mix on. Before I did this, I did seal all the sand with, I put alcohol on, 100% alcohol on it first, dripped on, with and then the watered down PVA afterwards. All covered in the Mod Podge and black, and now I'm going to do a Pebeo paint on it, and it's the light, this is the normal taupe colour on all of the columns, so I'm going to give them all a coat. And this is now a heavy dry brush of light taupe all over all the column. You can see the nice rounded edges of the columns catching it all in the bottom corner. Sorry, I should have shifted that up further to the camera there, sorry. But you see them come together in a minute. There we go. I take a look at the piece while I've dry brushed it, and if I think it needs a bit more, I'll just go back and do it again. There we go. Now, once they're all done, I'm taking my Screaming Skull. I'm going to go over the really high edges. This is a finer highlight than everything else. They are going to receive considerable weathering anyway, so you can go a bit nuts with this bit because it'll all be dulled down anyway. So I'm using the same piece, I'm just highlighting the middles and the edges with the Screaming Skull. Right, this is the earthworks now. That's Steel Legion drab. I'm just going to go over the earth with that. I'm mixing it 1 to 2 with water, so 1 part Steel Legion, 2 parts water. I'm going to go all over the black surfaces just to give me a bit more of a look as to what the columns are going to look like eventually when it's all done, to get the black out of there, because currently they're looking really stark against the black. I want them to kind of blend in slightly. So I'm going to go over the whole of the black with Steel Legion. I'll do one coat here, and then I'll go and do a really thin coat again afterwards once it's all dry. There we go. Once that's done, we've got Karak Stone dry brush over it. I did all that off camera, but that's just a simple dry brush over it to get the look of it. Here we are. This is the wash stage. Now, those of you who've seen any of my other videos, it's exactly the same method I do all my other washes on them to get the weathering. I apply it with my large wash brush there, and I use 2 different types of brushes to stipple. I've got my dry brush, my rounded ended dry brush from Army Painter, and I've got a wash brush from Games Workshop on there as well. I use that literally just to stipple into the plinths, because you can't get the dry brush, you can't get this brush in there. So here we go, apply it liberally and then stipple it out and kind of feather it towards the middle of the column if you can, and get a little bit on the bottom column as well, not too much. As you can see, that gives it a really nice effect. Don't forget to do the top of the columns as well. I'm now doing the Athonian Camo shade towards the bottom. This is a lot more sparingly than you would the Agrax. I don't mind using Games Workshop washes on pieces like this, but I have got homemade washes and they will be used later on the bases. Again, do it sparingly and use the smaller of the dry brushes to stipple out and feather the edges again on the green. There we go, that's all them feathered out and done now. The blacker rocks on there, we're going to pick some of those out in grey shortly. There we go, I've picked some of them out in grey. This is the part where I've used some of my own homemade washes here, using the Luke APS video from a while back he did. I copied his method for making washes using inks and flow medium. I put the brown all over and I did the green sparingly in the gaps. There we go, this is the final pieces. I've used gamer's grass tufts here, some long ones, some thin ones, and even some of the bush types. I think it gives it a really nice variation of colour, makes it look like it's overgrown. And the camera is picking it up quite stark here, but they're quite muted colours in real life, so it looks a bit more, you know, muted, to repeat myself. Excuse me. And I couldn't help but put my Dreadnought in there to have a look. I know the base isn't the same, but I think you can see that it look pretty good on any table if you match the colours to your bases. But there you go. I really hope you're happy with this. I'm super happy with it. As I said, if you like the video, please like and subscribe. Leave a comment. Share it with your friends. Thanks very much, guys.